Hey, my name's Maurice and this is a quick video on printing activities. So I have a few types I want to show you. This is a simple example. It just so happens to be a short story, but essentially it has a title, it has some content, and then it has an image attached to it. On the activity page, we have a print button at the top, but as you scroll, there'll also be a print button, and that's useful when there's lots of content or attachments or comments. So let's print this one and see what we get. So what it has done, has converted that information and that image into a PDF. Golden Keras will have a default paper size for you. So depending on where you live, that'll either be A4 or letter. But you can change that as well. So if we were to double this, A3 is similar to tabloid. You can see there it's actually going to fit everything onto one page. And that can be useful in some examples we'll get to a bit later. I'm going to put this back onto A4 because another thing we might want to do here is we might want to include the cover image. This isn't always useful. In this case, I don't know how useful it is, but when it's a craft or there's useful instructions or information in the cover image, or maybe you want to make a handout for someone and there's something useful there, then you can include that and that becomes part of your document. From here, you can print it, which will open up the dialog to your printer, or you can download it directly, which will add it to your downloads bar. And depending on what browser you're using, that might also appear inside this window as well. So that's a really simple example. Let's go to one that's a bit different. So this is This Day in History. And what's interesting in this one is we have 3 attachments, but one of them is a PowerPoint, the other 2 a PDF. So what happens when you click print is by default, it always prints everything that it can. So in this case, it printed all, and that's going to print all of the color and all of the black and white one, which is going to be some 60 odd pages. Not useful in most cases. So what you can do instead is come straight down here and click on the one you want, and that'll open up this window with this pre-selected. So you could click this one, or you could come in here and then click the black and white one to toggle between them. That's literally just changing between them, and now you're just going to get just the one you've selected, which can be useful. Now the PowerPoint can't be previewed. There's no way to do that in the browser at the moment. So what you can do here is you can download it, or you can come here and download it directly, and then you can use that in that program. So there's spreadsheets, PowerPoints, and a few other types that fall into this category. These ones can also be downloaded, but yeah, you can download them or print them. This one here is an article. It has quite a bit of information, and then at the end of it, it has 5 attachments, but these are all PDFs. So if we print and we go to print all, which is the default, it's going to print everything, including those 5 attachments. Now, if we just want the content, we can print that, and it will just have that there. If we just want this attachment, we can click on that and just have that one there. Now we can download and print. Same idea. Everything else remains the same. Now, the next ones are all part of our game system, and they include this here. And the games, we won't go too much into how the games work. We're just going to look at the printing aspect of it. Each game, in this case, it is a quiz, will have a different default game print layout. And it might have also a theme color, and potentially the font size has been adjusted to make it work. So this one, as an example, has the card one by one used. And that's so that every question becomes its own piece of, its own page. If you're doing printouts or you want to cut them up into cards, maybe you want to use the 2x2. There's a lot of different, interesting, unique ways you might want to slice and dice these things. You can even, if you need to, maybe you're playing this game on a screen, and for your own benefit, you just want a simple list. I'm just going to print only the quiz, go to the list layout, and now I've got all the questions and then a separate answer page. But even though, this was an image quiz, we can print a list on it. So it can be quite useful when you find different ways of using the same information. So although there's always a default, there's usually a way to print what you want or get what you want out of it. And in another video on creating games, we will look a lot more deeply at this system and actually all of the different game types. But we won't touch that here. The next one is a crossword. So if we print the crossword, we can see it down here. There's only one crossword type, but you could print a crossword as a card or a list as well, and that once again can be useful in some circumstances. But the crossword layout will just have your grid page, your question page, and then your answer page at the end. And then this one has a theme. You can also adjust the font size like you can in all of them, but you can play around with those. The main reason you might adjust the font size really on a game is because there's too much text or there's only a few words and you want to make them as big as possible. But if you go too crazy, if we were to bring that up to like 180%, then it's going to start behaving strangely because there's only so much we can do in that case. So, you can play around with that. Generally, the default that you get will work in most cases. Okay, last two. Word search. So just a list of words here. If you print it, there's three types of word searches. So there is the easy, standard, and hard. That will change the grid here. So an easy will have less words. And of course, if you had a word that was longer than this line, it won't be able to fit in the grid. So it won't be used as a question. And if you make it hard, then you'll get way more words. The grid will get much bigger and more complicated and more difficult, but you'll always have an answer page to reference here. Now, the last one I'll show is bingo. There are a few other types, but we'll go through them in a separate video. I just wanted to show you the print options here. So this bingo defaults to, it's just a word bingo, so there's no images. There are image bingos as well. This one is a 5x5, and each page becomes a bingo card. Now, by default, you can see there are a number of bingo cards, and then we have these, which are the calling cards. So you can print these as well, print it all in one. You can cut these out, and then that's how you can play that game. The number of players can be adjusted, so you can come in here and bump it up or bump it down. The font size looks like it's already been adjusted so that they fit a bit better in this grid here. And then there's been a color by default selected, but you could change that to anything you like as well. So I'll leave that there. This video got a little bit longer than I intended, but I hope that is helpful and I hope you've learned something. Thank you.